We start, as always, with Cowboy head football coach Mike Gundy. And as you've watched the video and had a chance to talk at length with your coaching staff, any additional thoughts on Bedlam? Maybe some things that you didn't consider right after the game?
I wasn't real excited as a Monday morning quarterback with our schemes. We might have tried to do too much. Oklahoma's a good team. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from them, and they have good plans and, good players. They're playing much better, much different now than they were 6 weeks ago. So I would have done a few things differently. I guess that, if you don't play well, you're always going to find things you wish you would have done different. If they would have worked, you'd probably felt like it was the right decision. I will say that I watched the last two series offensively and defensively really close, and our players were competing and giving really good effort. And that made me feel good as a coach and excited me for the next week. Sometimes guys don't compete and don't play hard. When you're in a game and you're not doing as well and getting beat up on a little bit. But those guys competed and played really hard and threw their bodies around. And so they're to be congratulated for that. And then, as a staff, we get back to work and come up with a plan to play the best we can against Texas Tech on Saturday morning.
How did you feel about the quarterback play between the two players, Illingworth and Sanders?
The quarterbacks played fine. They didn't have much of a chance at times. We played musical chairs in the offensive line again, unfortunately. And what happens there is you take a player that hasn't repped a position and he goes to a position that he hasn't repped during the week. And so there wasn't any reason for us to work seals at tackle during the week. People that aren't inside the program will say, what's the big deal? You just play tackle. It's completely different than playing guard. So once we did that, we became a little vulnerable based on reps in practice, not getting quality reps with those guys at that particular position. Then that falls on the quarterback's shoulders. Spencer was good with his composure and competed and made some plays. There's times, quite a bit, that he was pressured. Same thing with Shane. So I was fine with the quarterbacks and their reads and the way that they competed in the game.
So what's the most important thing in terms of helping kind of keep your edge? I mean, big rivalry game didn't go obviously the way you would have hoped. So how do you make sure you have your edge for 3 more games?
Well, for us, our culture, my experience in being here 16 years helps tremendously. And I say this to them every week. I share this with the media and everybody else, that on Saturday night, you're either excited about the way you played or you're upset because you don't feel like you played well enough. On Sunday, we still have a game the next week. So our players understand that. You can't get too high and you can't get too low, because you got to come back and get ready to play. And every day that you waste, whether you're feeling really good about yourself or you're drowning your sorrows, is a day you waste in preparation for the next game. So I think we have a culture in place that our players understand that. And I make it really clear to them, and I think their assistant coaches do the same, in that we're evaluating you on effort first, being unselfish, and playing as hard as you can for the guy next to you. Then we evaluate you on scheme and technique, in that order. And we don't have any issues with players that aren't fulfilling the first two. We can always get better at technique and fundamentals. If that wasn't the case, they wouldn't need coaches. So we coach effort, we applaud effort, and then we get back to fundamentals and techniques, and then we prepare for the next game and we move on. People use this term a lot, is you don't want one game to beat you twice. So we'll be in a dogfight Saturday morning against Texas Tech. They had a big comeback win the last time they played, and they've had an open week. They've had an extra week to prepare for us, so we've got to get back to work. We don't have time to worry about what happened in the last game.
So what are the most important corrections or enhancements that you're excited about getting out to the practice field to work on this week?
Well, we've got a lot of work in the offensive line based on what's going on. Well, that ties into schemes. That ties into
Sure.
run plays, pass plays, what you do, because essentially everything starts up front. And this has been a very unusual year in that we expected to be too deep and really sound and solid and mature on the offensive line. And we went from that to inexperience. And so I've always enjoyed having my back against the wall, for lack of a better term. I like to try to find ways to get young men to compete and play better than maybe their talent or experience or maturity level allows them to at this time. And that's kind of where we're at right now offensively.
Stay with us. We'll preview Texas Tech when we return.
Give the gift of fun to everyone on your list with in-store assembly and free curbside pickup. Make this Christmas brighter together with Academy Sports and Outdoors.
It's time for Ask the Coach, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Coach Gundy, how do you decide who plays on special teams?
We have a full-time coach who is responsible for each one of the 4 special teams, and that coach works with our analyst and decides who, based on their physical abilities, will play on special teams. Then we tie that into what their total number of plays that they're getting on the field on offense or defense, and put that equation together to come up with guys that we think give us the best chance to have success, but also keep them fresh to play on the other 2 sides of the ball.
Do you have butter lettuce over there? Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
so much.
You bet.
Okay.
Just try a little bit here.
Hey, Jay, can you grab that?
We'll get right on it.
Thank you. I know how much you guys love tomatoes, so I have stories to tell you about these tomatoes.
ADM milling is really a part of the fabric of the Enid community. So if we were to have lost them, it would have been more than the 70 jobs that they employ.
OG&E, the City of Enid, and the Enid Regional Development Alliance were all great to work with. Not only does it allow for the growth of the new mill, but also the power is there to make that happen for the future.
Back with Coach Gundy as we preview the home finale, Senior Day for Oklahoma State against Texas Tech. And let's start with Senior Day. This sort of makes me think in some ways back to when you had guys like Mason Rudolph and James Washington around. You've got some seniors that have played a lot and a lot of starting significant snaps that will play at home for the final time against Tech.
Particularly on defense, a lot of guys, and that's why our defense has been very competitive this year. A lot of maturity, a lot of guys that have played hard, and so that's always a tough day for me. I look at some of these guys, and it surprises me that they're seniors, because I can remember thinking and having discussions about them when they were playing when they were a freshman or sophomore, and thinking, well, the good news is we got this guy forever. And things go much faster now, for me particularly, than they ever have. And it's a very sentimental day for players that have come in and given their heart and soul and their body. This is a physical game, violent game, and they give everything to Oklahoma State. And so I'm excited about them preparing, to play their last game, but also sentimental and sad, basically, knowing that we lose them.
What are your observations about Texas Tech?
They've played multiple quarterbacks for a variety of reasons. I think injuries, maybe they didn't feel like the other guys were playing as good as they should have. They're going to play fast at times on offense. They're going to spread you out. A lot of short throws. Defensively, Been predominantly 3 down, but as of late playing some 4 down. Mainly a zone team, but as of late playing a little bit more cover 1, some man. So, we have our work cut out for us, and we're back at it and trying to get up the best plan possible for this game.
Stay with us. We hear what Cowboy football players are thankful for when we continue.
You need more layers, diagonal layers.
I got it, Ron. Thanks.
Leave him alone, Dad. Oh, honey, you should use ice blocks instead of cubes.
No, Bud Light Seltzer goes on top.
Diagonal layers.
Did you pre-chill the Bud Light lemonades?
Need more ice. And diagonal layers.
I mean, if you're gonna do it right.
I don't need my hands getting cold.
Why don't you try using the Plumsky method? Brings out the citrus notes. Dad?
Gotta crush the ice, son.
Okay, I'm out.
What's his problem?
Whenever packing the cooler really matters, there's a Bud Light there.
Living with joint pain. Take the first step at mercy.net/cowboysortho.
Happy Thanksgiving week, everyone. It's time to eat good food, spend time with loved ones, and give thanks. I caught up with members of the Cowboy football family to see what they're thankful for this holiday season.
I'm very thankful for waking up every morning, being around great people in the greatest country in the world, being around young people, having a chance to change people's lives. We're so fortunate to live in a place and in a community in Stillwater and be involved with Oklahoma State University. Get an opportunity to change people and change the way people think in this country. I'm thankful for that every day.
I'm definitely thankful for my family, my father, my mother, my 2 brothers, and my friends, the entire team, the entire staff. Even my girlfriend, Madison. So, I'm just thankful for a lot of things right now and the opportunities that have been placed in front of me. And I'm thankful that I've capitalized on some of those opportunities.
What I'm thankful for is my family. They're always by my side, showing up to every game, and I'm just blessed to have them on my side.
I'm thankful for my family, the coaches, my son, just really all the OSU fans that really support us in the ups and the downs, and just thankful for all our blessings.
I'm just thankful for my family, this university, and just all my brothers and friends and just people that's in my life.
I'm thankful for my family, opportunity, and just this whole organization as well, of just being a kid from Dallas, Texas, being in a place I never thought I'd be in, and just thankful for this whole opportunity.
This is not good.
I need you to pick me up at 5:30.
and then everybody runs.
What is he doing? You missed the spot.
This college application, I gotta get all my references. It's just a lot.
I can get used to having my own chauffeur.
Oh, yeah?
No texting.
All right.
Watch out for dogs.
I got it, I know.
Don't let Trevor drive.
Cowboy basketball coach Mike Boynton joins us now, and you've got Cade Cunningham, who's a 6'8" point guard that can play multiple positions, so that's a unique dynamic. How do you think his presence and your personnel this year can impact what your defensive philosophy will be?
Oh, absolutely. You'll see us play a little bit differently than we have in the past because our parts are different. And different in that a lot of them are similar because we've got 2 really sizable point guards. We thought we had a big point guard last year at 6'4", 215 pounds, and now we have one who's 6'8", 225 pounds. And so those guys, from a dynamic standpoint, can wreak havoc defensively. They can switch and guard down all the way to the 4, especially if teams are playing with 4 guards. But obviously what we feel like is it's going to give us the ability to extend teams by switching and making things hard on them to run their consistent offense.
So you could be in a situation where you're doing more switching than you've done in the past defensively.
And it'll be something that we continue to work on. Obviously, the thing that's concerning is if we do play teams with a lot of size, how do we rebound? How do we counter their rebounding? And what we got to do is we just got to be the tougher team, and then we got to make them pay offensively with our skill.
How do you feel about your center play, the 5 spot?
I feel good. I'd love to have another big, but I like the progress that Caleb Boone has made over the summer. He's really improved on the offensive end and confidence-wise. Bernard Coomer is another guy who will bring a lot of girth to this position. He's a guy who can give us a different look. He's not the long, lean athlete that most of our team is. And then we've got the ability to move Matthew Alexander-Moncrief down, and he can play some 5 because he is athletic and strong enough, and he does rebound it well enough to defend in there.
Things are obviously pretty new as far as practice is concerned, but if you had to identify one thing that you're a little bit concerned about, or maybe a better way of saying it, something you'd like to see improve, what would that be?
Well, I would say 2 things. One is we've got a lot of young guys, and they don't quite understand the urgency on the defensive end of the court. You know, for them, it's always been about their offensive game and just being committed to defending and rebounding at a high level, which would be the second thing is we don't have a lot of size, as we spoke about before. And so how do we combat that by making sure we limit teams to 1 shot per possession as often as possible?
How well do you think you'll shoot it?
That's a hard thing to predict. And shooting kind of comes and goes sometimes. But I feel like we have a lot of guys who are capable shot makers. Farron Flavors comes to mind. He's a guy who's proven that he can make shots at every level he's been at. Keelan Boone's another one who's improved his shot selection and his efficiency from out there. Chris Harris, another guy. You know, Cade shoots the ball better than he's given credit for. And so we have a lot of different guys who can make shots. And I haven't mentioned our transfer from Ole Miss, Bryce Williams, who's known as a catch and shoot, explosive scorer type.
So final thought, what's been the most challenging part as far as the pandemic's concerned?
You know, I'm so used to spending so much time with these guys and being encouraged not to do that, being asked to try to limit the amount of time you spend with them so that you don't have overexposure. It's really been a challenge for me just because that's the way our program's built. It's built around personal relationships and making sure these guys know that they're cared about outside the game. And right now we're being asked, hey, when we don't need to be together, let's try to avoid being together, and that's probably the biggest challenge for me.